The planet banking is precautionary of growing risks, or which it telephone call darkening skiing, for the planet economics. In its yearly evaluation of world prospects, the banking predicts extended, although partly slower, increase the year and following. The banking's prediction for the world economics is extension the year of 2.9% and 2.8% in 2020. But hanging the widely favorable worldview are growing concerns. How could indicate economical productivity waterfall brief? Down there is surely several nice news story in the paper. Time the world economics is retarding downward its potential to be, which the banking's economists urge a gentle disembarkation. The slowing begun in the medium of recent year, and it has so far been neat. The forecasted slowing is concentrated on the wealthy countries, especially the US, though it will go on to extend more than quickly rather than each the Eurozone or Japan onto the banking's forecasts. The US slowing is the outcome of the attenuation effect of CEO Trump card's tax intermittent, and by 2021 its increase will include nearly halfway, to 1.6% compared in 2.9% recent year. On the sum brush, increase in growing markets and evolving economies is potential to collect step, partly in spite the extended cool downward in China, a trial that began at the begin of the 10 years. By 2021 increase in China is B6%, that is yet cute powerful, but it is a noted changing of opinion for economics how advanced by an ordinary of 10% every year among 1980 and 2010. How is which the banking thinks is the potential productivity of the planet economics above the following few year. But down there are risks how could indicate how it doesn't job out so. How is reflecting in the name of the year's paper, darkening skiing. Several of the clouds are known ones. World trade is already easing, and dispute above trading particularly among the US and China is one of the main risks. These are the two greatest domestic economies on the earth. The banking has intended how 2.5% of world trading is struck by the new tariff, trading taxes, how were superimposed recent year, and it would be dual how if the future tariff how include been debated were executed. The hazard of growing protect remnant top, the paper says. It could oppress economical operation in these two gigantic economies. Slower increase in China is especially in question for evolving countries how exportable industry consumer goods, power and metals, as China is such a big purchaser of these means. Franziska Owens-Orge says among them the US and China expense for 20% of world trading and 40% of world gross domestic product. If their economies are both of hit, she says, it's thing how's thick felt all about this planet. The banking does not wait a economic downturn in each of these economies, although several commentators are now offering the US could be header for one following year. But if it were to occur, the hazard of a world economic downturn would growth dramatically. In the history, the paper says, the hazard of a world economic downturn in any 1 year was 7%. But if the US has a downturn, the likelihood goes up to 50%. Finance markets are as well a hazard. The chances of unrestrained developments include enlarged. If concern rates are enlarged once again in the US, or if the buck reached dramatically, it could include an effect on growing and evolving economies. Brexit appears in the banking's evaluation as a probable hazard for countries how are particularly confident on marketing to Europe. If the UK's output conducted location in no treaty down there is a opportunity of considerable economical harm to both of the UK and the EU that could later influence countries in East Europe and Polar Africa that are close integration in Europe. And though in the banking center, comparatively upbeat, image down there are several sad prospects for components of the evolving planet, that is the team the planet banking exists to assist. For on a tertiary of countries worried increase in per capita regulation win be quite to restarting which the paper telephone call this capture up in the advanced planet, the tapering of the gap among residing standards. And in submarine Saharan Africa per capita increase is potential to be less than rather than 1%, inadequate to driving considerable advance in alleviating poverty reduction.